Welcome everyone to Dr. Scott's Maths Made Simple, Episode 1, Fractions. Today I'm just going to be adding fractions. That's all I'm going to do. So all we're going to do is we're going to plus fractions. That's all. I'm going to go right from the beginning of fractions. This is a fraction, 1/2. You can have half an apple, half a cake, half a chair, although that's a bit tricky, half a carrot. So that is a fraction. That's probably your simplest fraction. Now fractions we can add. If we have, say, half of something and we add it to another half. So if you have half an apple that you've cut in half and you add to the other half, you've got a whole apple. Half plus a half equals 1. I think most of us sort of know that anyway. When I finish tonight, you're going to be able to do this quite easily. 4 divided by 6 plus 5 on 11 equals. You're going to be able to do that fraction, that addition of two fractions. I know it looks difficult, but when we're finished, you'll be able to do it. Okay, let's start. Let's say 1/4 plus 2/4. What does that equal? Now, it only has 4s on the bottom, or the denominator. So it's all in quarters or fourths. So 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. So when we have the same number on the bottom, the denominator, we can just add the top numbers together. So 1 plus 2 equals 3. 4 stays the same because that's what it is over, the denominator. So 1/4 plus 2/4 equals 3/4. Okay, so far so good. But what if I said to you, okay then, what's 1/2 plus 5/6 plus 5/6? What does that equal? Well, you can see that the 2 and the 6 are different numbers, so we can't just add 1 and 5 together. We'll get the wrong answer if we do that. We have to have the number on the bottom, the denominator, we have to make it the same. Now the biggest number here on the bottom is 6. You notice that 2 goes into 6 3 times. In fact, if we multiply 2 times 3, we get 6. With a fraction, whatever we do to the bottom, we got to do to the top. Whatever we do to the top, we got to do to the bottom. Okay? So we're going to multiply this thing by 3. So that will equal 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. So that's the same as a half. So this 1/2 plus 5/6 equals 3/6 plus 5/6, which equals 8/6. That's your answer, but the teachers will want you to get it into the smallest possible denominator. So you notice these are both even numbers. They're both divisible by 2. So if we divide the top by 2 and the bottom by 2, we can say 8 divided by 6 equals 4, that's 8 divided by 2, over 3, 6 divided by 2. So that is actually the correct answer. So the answer to this fraction equals 4/3, or 4 over 3. And we got that by changing it from step 1 down to step 2, where we got the denominators to be the same. We simply added the 3 and the 5 together and got 8. The 6 stays the same on the bottom because it's the denominator. And then we said 8 on 6, well that equals 4 divided by 3 because we divide the 8 by 2 and the 6 by 2. Half of 8 is 4, half of 6 is 3. Okay. So that's what we do if the denominator is different. What about if I said 3 on 4 plus 5 over 12? What does that equal? Well, again, we have the same problem again where the denominators are different. But what will we multiply or change? What could we put everything over so it's over the same thing? Well, normally we aim for the biggest one of the denominators, the biggest number. So there's a 12 and there's a 4. If we multiply 4 by 3, we'll get 12. So we can change this one. If we multiply the 4 by 3, it's over 12. But since we've multiplied by 3, we've got to multiply this by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. So 9 over 12 plus 5 over 12 equals 14 over 12. You can see I'm just adding 9 and 5 is 14 over 12. Again, both are divisible by 2, so we can knock that down to 7 over 6. So 2 into 14 is 7, 2 into 12 is 6. So the answer is 7 6, or you can even go one step further and say that is 1 and 1 6. Because 1 is 6 6 plus 1 6. So that's another way of writing this. It's exactly the same. So there we've added two fractions again to each other that didn't have the same denominator to start with. Okay, you should be maybe just about able to do this by yourselves. 2 on 15 plus 4 over 5 equals. So again, different denominators. The biggest one is 15. If we multiply 5 by 3, we get 15. So that equals, let's multiply this whole thing by 3. So this fraction, this addition of two fractions equals 2 over 15 plus, we multiply this by 3, and it's 12, and we multiply this by 3, it's 15. So you can see we've got 2 over 15 plus 12 on 15, which equals 14 over 15. And that's actually the answer. We can't go any lower because these numbers aren't divisible by the same number. One's an odd number, one's an even number. 3 goes into this one, but not this one, etc., etc. 7 goes into that, but not into that. So this is our final answer, 14 on 15, and this is what we started with. And we got everything over 15 and then just did the sum. What if I said to you, what about 3 over 7 plus 4 over 5? What does that equal? Now, see, 5 doesn't go into 7, and 7 certainly doesn't go into 5, well, not evenly. So what we often do in this situation is we say, okay, if we multiply the two denominators together, 7 times 5, that equals 35. Agreed? 7 5s are 35. So if we put everything over 35, we'll be able to do the addition of these two fractions, add them together. So the way we do that is for this to be over 35, we multiply 7 by 5, this number, to get 35. Now whatever we do to one, the top or the bottom, we go do to the other side, the other end. So we multiply the denominator by 5, we go multiply the numerator by 5. 5 times 3 is 15. So 5 times 3 over 5 times 7 is 15 on 35. Plus, now this one, how do we get this to 35? We multiply it by 7. So 7 5s are 35. So therefore we've got to multiply the top by 7. 7 times 4 is 28. So we end up with a nice fraction, both over 35, so it becomes very easy to do. So you can see that that equals 43. You can either use your calculator or do it in your head. 15 plus 28 equals 43 over 35. 43 and 35 don't have any common fractions or denominators that can go into them. So, and in fact 43 is a prime number, I think. So it's got no factors apart from itself, 1 and 43. So 43 on 35 is actually your final answer. Or you could say equals 1, which is 35 on 35, 1 and 8 35ths. That's also the answer. These two are exactly the same, just written a different way. 43 on 35 equals 1 and 8 35ths. So similarly, if we go 1/2, there's our old friend 1/2, which was one of the easiest fractions, plus 2 over 9. Now, again, 2 doesn't go into 9, 9 doesn't go into 2, so let's multiply them together. That's the best way to get a common denominator. 2 times 9 is 18. So if we multiply this side by 9, 9 twos are 18, so we got 18 on the bottom. 9 times 1 is 9, plus on this side we multiply everything by 2. So that will be 2 times 9 is 18, and 2 times 2 is 4. So now we have these two fractions with the same denominator. We can easily add them together, and you can see that they equal 13 over 18, because 9 plus 4 equals 13, and that's your answer. You've got it right. Even though it looks very difficult to begin with, you got over the common denominator, as they call it, by multiplying 2 and 9 together, and you've got your answer. Now finally, if we had, say, 1/3 plus 3/4 plus 2/6, we've got 3 different denominators. 3 goes into 6, but 4 doesn't go into 6. 2 goes into 4 and 6, but not into 3. What will we do here? Well, why don't we just take these two to begin with? 3 and 4. Well, I think you know what the denominator is going to be there. It's 3 times 4, which is 12. So that will be 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. And then we've got plus 2/6, which equals, now we've got 2 of these things on 12 over 12. So that 2 of these fractions, so 4 plus 12 plus 9, 4 on 12 plus 9 on 12 equals 13 over 12 plus 2/6. Now I think you'd agree that 2 on 6, if we just take the 2 on the 6, if we multiply the top and the bottom by 2, we get it over 12. That equals 4 over 12. So really, we can now say that this is plus 2/6, but it's actually plus 4/12. So if we change that to 4/12, we now equal 17 over 12, which is our answer. So we did another fraction that involved 3 different fractions, all with different denominators, and we still managed to do it by just looking after the first 2 to begin with, and then adjusting the third one to what we needed, putting it all over 12. So when I started this little talk, on adding fractions, I said to you, you will be confidently be able to add these two fractions together. So let's do it anyway, because I know you can do it now, but let's do it anyway. We want the same denominator on the bottom. We've got a 6 and 11. 6 doesn't go into 11, so let's multiply the two of them together. So 6 times 11. So on the bottom, we're going to have 6 times 11 is 66, plus something over 66. So we multiplied this one by 11, it's 66. We multiplied this one by 6, it's 66. We multiplied this one by 11, which would, of course, be 44, because 4 times 11 is 44. Plus, and we multiply here, everything by 6. And that would be 30 on 66. So that equals 74 over 66. So we've worked out this fraction again. We've got it over 66, 74 over 66. I think you'll agree they're both even numbers, so we know we can divide both by 2. So 2 into 74 goes 37. 2 into 66 goes 33. And that's as far as we can go. And this is your final answer, 37 on 33. We move this fraction just by multiplying the 6 and 11 to get the common denominator, adding them together, and then just dividing by 2, top and bottom, and getting 37 on 33. I hope that helps you with adding fractions together or addition of fractions. And don't forget, you can't lick your elbow, it's impossible. And also, interestingly, you can't crush an egg end on end with your hands. Try it. Thank you and good night.